Well, another area where we may need to be thinking about how we defend ourselves is against AI and the rising threats that we face, Angela. You've done a fair bit of work around this.
That's
and
right.
now we've seen OpenAI, they're advertising an $800,000 a year job to be head of preparedness to basically protect humanity against the impacts of AI. When AI companies are advertising for that, it doesn't fill you with confidence.
It doesn't. And also this story around AI chatbots being linked to psychosis and the concern that doctors have. Now, I did some work on a story on this, and one of the Sydney University experts I spoke to, he likened it to this. He said that if you can see social media as a gateway drug like marijuana, then AI is a drug like crystal meth. It is that addictive and it is that problematic. And in the deep dive I did in this piece, what I discovered was that because we now have an epidemic of loneliness and young kids, they were in gaming, they now on their phones have a chatbot that can talk to them about anything. And they are going to these chatbots for therapy, for advice. And this is why we've seen cases in the US where children have taken their own lives on the advice of chatbots. Now, I've tested it myself. I have put into it things where I've asked a chatbot for advice. I ended up writing a column and the chatbot said to me, humans like us. And I said to it, you are not a human. And it went, oh, yes, you're right. Thank you for calling me out on this. So if I'm being told by a chatbot that they are a human, then I challenge them on it, then where are young kids without that prefrontal cortex questioning, using these devices for therapy, for advice, for direction, unless, and you know, to the point of where we should be going with AI, there should be AI when these conversations are coming up, it's sending these vulnerable kids to the right agencies. And look, I think it's great of OpenAI to be having a self-monitoring, you know, effectively its own HR department. But I imagine they're doing that because of everything that happened with Meta in terms of the criticism that it's had over the years.
Yeah, but so like, you know, I was Shadow Minister for Mental Health, and meeting with youth mental health groups, they actually use AI to talk to young people that reach out to the service, but the way that they have it structured, because it's not generative, you know, AI. It's only it's only what's in there. And so they then set the parameters up with the materials that they put in that the chatbot can then draw on. But it's interesting that you've got organisations that are using it officially, chatbots, to offer those sort of services, and then where they are outside if you're just going to a ChatGPT or another platform. So, you know, it's really difficult. But I think, again, you know, we can't completely absolve ourselves of any personal responsibility. And, you know, parents need to teach their kids that if they've got an issue, don't ask ChatGPT, talk to your parents or go and talk to someone else. You know, we can't just sort of all put our hands up in the air and go, it's all IT's fault and progression there of technology, because it still comes down to personal and parental responsibility.
And there are also going to be huge benefits from AI as well. And there still is a lot of debate around exactly how many jobs will be taken by AI. Some say 80% of jobs, others say, well, no, it'll just change jobs and mean you have to use more human skills, because things that are easily automated, they will be by AI. So it will be interesting to see how this evolves.